Good morning. Super happy to be here today. I know we've got a small crowd here on a Friday morning, so thank you so much for joining us. My name is Michelle James. I'm with CEDIAE, and I work on strategic industry programs here at CEDIAE. I've got my right arm and partner Jeremy Willis with me in the crowd today, so really appreciate being here with CEDIA. I am really excited to be at this show. To be honest, Jeremy and I were talking about this morning, we have wanted to be at CEDIA for a couple of years prior to COVID, and now we're here. So we're super excited to have been invited to talk a little bit about 5G and what it means for home installation. Also happy to be here in Dallas. I will tell you, this is my third conference, 3 time zones in 3 cities all this week, so I saved the best for last. And also Dallas is my hometown, so super excited to come back, and I think it's the first day of Fair Day, so we have all that going for us this weekend. So one of the things I can promise from the wireless industry is like all technology segments, the only guarantee is change, right? So we're in the midst, as everyone knows, of the evolution between 4G to 5G. We're in the middle of a really big build out relative to networks being able to drive additional efficiencies with new technology, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. So why are we talking about 5G in smart home? So basically for 5G will be able to help unlock some new efficiencies relative to how home automation continues to automate different residential solutions and operations. 5G is one of the best technologies that is, again, still in the process of rolling out, but it's one of the best technologies for IoT, which helps open doors for smart home capabilities that are more efficient, safer, reliable. We also, one of the things a lot of people don't know about CEDIAE is we do a lot of certification programs. So before new devices are operational or commercial on nationwide networks, here in the US, we have a certification to make sure that those devices operate with maximum both conformance and performance testing prior to making their way into the market. And we're doing the same thing not only with the mobile device, which is basically the remote control to your life, and in many cases the remote control to your home now. We're also doing that with other connected solutions relative to IoT. So, having certified phones, tablets, other wireless devices, we've been doing that for more than 30 years. Across the industry and across the entire vendor community. So you can imagine the standards that have come down as we've been rolling out 5G, both from the standards as well as the certification development, has been trying to keep up with all of the new kinds of IoT devices that are now coming in with connectivity to help power smart solutions, especially smart solutions in the home environment. But what makes 5G specifically, I think, impactful for I think this audience? We'll talk about 3 things today: how and why 5G technology is already transforming our communities. We'll talk about the benefits of 5G and what it brings in terms of some residential use cases in particular. And we'll also talk about a couple real-world cases and how wireless-enabled home systems are already today helping to improve our communities. So I have been in the wireless industry since 1996. I started when I was 12, in case you're trying to do the math. I have been pre-G, I like to tell people. I've seen all of the evolution. We are in a major investment cycle and have been for some time. Last year alone, network operators have invested more than $35 billion, with a B, $35 billion in network build out. Growing up in the wireless industry, I will say that, working for Nokia for many years, we would have technology capabilities in devices way before the use cases presented themselves in terms of what they were going to be used for. So we had GPS location-based services in Nokia devices, for example, for years before we decided we needed rideshare apps, right? So we're kind of in that, so think of 5G deployment as we're in the middle of building this super highway. We don't maybe even know all the cars that are going to be on the highway because we have to have it in order for that innovation and development to then be made possible. So, you know, it's been kind of exciting after 20 years in the wireless industry, having started with Nokia, transitioning. Jeremy and I work on a program where we work with technicians who are actually out there making sure we're certifying them for making sure these devices remain in working order. So whether it's a laptop or a smartphone or a tablet, and again, those are the things that are actually helping to power some of the home automation that's seen on the floor here today. Then we were also at CTI, we do a lot of things around smart cities. So for smart home, smart buildings, smart venues, those are all really infrastructure, kind of part of what makes up a smart community. So, and the residential home is just as important as all the others. So, you know, for us, there's been a lot of movement relative to how cities are managing their technology and how they're deploying various solutions, whether it's the actual management of the city itself or the solutions that it's offering those who live, work, and play in the cities. So we do a lot of work in that area, which again will be a really good use case. Lots of use cases are starting to present themselves relative to 5G. There will still be a lot of use cases that will, or solutions that will not need 5G necessarily, that will live on 4G for a long time. So we're going to have sort of an evolution between both 4G and 5G sort of coexisting over a period of time until we have ubiquitous 5G. Here you can sort of see the evolution between 2G, 3G, and 4G and what innovations were made possible throughout that evolution. So together with our industry members, we are exploring new ways where we can make devices in your communities, homes, and networks safe, efficient, and capable of enabling the 5G residential use cases. So some of the 5G key attributes include much faster speeds, dramatically lower latency, and much higher capacity. Together, these attributes enable massive IoT, where numerous devices all connect and interact together in real time, leading to use cases that significantly enhance productivity and efficiency across a wide variety of industries. Already, smart cities, as I mentioned, are using IoT for smart transportation to improve traffic, safety, and efficiency. Utilities are using smart meters to monitor energy and infrastructure, and schools are using IoT to connect students and online resources so that no student is left behind. "5G is already widespread and available to use for various residential use cases. Globally, 5G will have over 1 billion connections this year, and it's forecasted to reach 4.4 billion by 2027, according to Ericsson Mobility Report. Here in the US, 5G is widely available, rolling out much faster than we rolled out 4G. And it's now covering more than 315 million people. It's been deployed by all three national operators between AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon, but also by Dish and other regional operators, including US Cellular. They are all competing, as I'm sure you've all seen in their aggressive advertising, for the best coverage and capacity. For these deployments, 5G uses low, mid, and high band spectrum. The real sweet spot for 5G is the mid-band spectrum because it provides high capacity and a broad coverage to help deliver a wide array of applications. With operators pressing forward, we are continuing this with great progress. Investments continue, deployments continue, innovation continues. And the penetration of 5G smartphones and other 5G-enabled devices. Now, a lot of folks have said, I've had 5G, icon on my phone for 8 months or so now, and I'm not downloading my movies any faster. So some of the use cases may or may not be focused specifically on consumer application, but more on the automation of other things, including IoT. So we've seen smartphones from Apple, Samsung, Motorola, LG, and others. The cameras, I will say, on some of these 5G phones are absolutely amazing. Consumer-oriented devices are certainly taking advantage of the faster network speeds with better video streaming, 3D, and immersive experiences. Beyond that, fixed 5G, better known as 5G home broadband, is giving consumers another option for home broadband access, which is particularly well suited for underserved areas. This is one of the fastest growing areas for some of the wireless companies. There are over 100 million fixed wireless access points in the US today. And the US government is also providing billions of dollars in funding to be utilized to help close the digital divide. Residential applications have great opportunities to use the benefits of 5G technology. The opportunities that lay in front of us take advantage of the lower latency, so the lower, shorter distance the connection has to travel for the application, and the reduction time that it takes for devices to communicate with each other. Opportunities like remote training, online gaming, distance learning, and of course, residential automation. So what exactly does this mean for residential and other home installers? All types of sensors can be used to wirelessly enable and allow for automated home controls. It enables augmented reality, which supports remote training, concerts, and interactive learning scenarios. It enables AI monitoring to monitor utility use, device performance, and maintenance issues. All these capabilities vastly improve efficiency, reliability, costs, and safety. 5G networks enable residential IoT and improve home performance end-to-end. 5G is reliable, secure, and sustainable. .5G's network architecture is built with redundancies to help minimize the risk of outages, which is critical, especially for those kiddos that are doing submitting their homework online and on time. So, the network being down is kind of like the dog ate my homework, right? So the industry is working really hard, as you would imagine, coming out of COVID with so much remote work and remote learning. And the network operators certainly rose to the challenge to help make that possible and continues to do so. 5G is one of our most secure generations of technology to date, and we've incorporated all of the improvements over every prior generation of technology. Beyond that, wireless companies have also recently stood up a 5G security testbed to validate security recommendations made by security experts across a wide variety, across the industry, as well as serve as an advisory to the FCC. This testbed demonstrates the wireless industry's commitment to being proactive on cybersecurity and investigating potential vulnerabilities on 5G networks. Residential communities that use 5G will also be more sustainable using real-time data and sensors to optimize the use of resources needed for home operations. In a recent Accenture study, they showed that 5G will help US reach 20% of its emissions reduction goals within the next few years. This is the equivalent of taking 72 million cars off the road. CTIA continues to connect the dots with our industry members and our communities, just so that we can start to continue the conversation or keep the conversation continuing in terms of what's possible. So how is 5G really changing our home experience? For the past 6 years, CTIA has worked with network operators, equipment providers, technology innovators, chip manufacturers, and community stakeholders to identify all of the challenges for connected communities. Our member working groups are the foundation of these programs. The U.S. network of smart city experts and stakeholders are working together to make sure your community is smarter, safer, and more connected and ready for the next wave of innovation that will be made possible with the deployment of 5G. 5G is taking our home experience and opening the possibilities to accomplish even more. Like wireless-enabled sensors to monitor utility performance and increase connectivity for remote education. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of use cases specifically that are live today. Some of our Smart Cities working groups had the opportunity to visit Southern Company, who is a major utility company based in the Southeast. One of their large projects based in Reynolds Landing, which is a neighborhood located just 30 minutes west of Birmingham. Reynolds Landing includes 60 homes powered by a solar power grid and benefits from advanced wireless networks that enable the community's IoT. This is the first community in the Southeast of its kind to integrate smart home, energy efficient systems and appliances, connected devices, and a microgrid. The microgrid is made up of solar panels, battery storage, and a backup natural gas generator. The smart homes achieve reduction in utility output was upwards of 35%, and are outfitted with smart appliances, smart glass windows, electric vehicle charging stations, smart security systems, and smart HVAC units. These smart technologies provide the homeowner with reports to track appliance performance and maintenance needs, empowering them with the knowledge to reduce use and increase efficiencies. Not only are our homes getting smarter, but also our kids. I wanted to talk a little bit about one of our other use cases in New York City. Again, this was a collaborative effort that was sort of sped up as many technology conversations, not just in wireless, but across the board as we were managing how to work in a more connected world during COVID. And we found ways to help keep kids connected, or at least our industry members did. One of our CTI member companies, Ookla, shared a great example of how the advanced wireless networks were keeping our kids connected, even when their home may not have had connections readily available to begin with. The New York City Department of Education needed data to guide the distribution of its technology resources and for managing hotspots for over 500,000 iPads throughout the city. After distributing Wi-Fi only laptops to students with home internet connections, the New York City Department of Education set up 20,000 Verizon 4G LTE and 5G hotspots and distributed 300,000 LTE enabled iPads meaning they already came with a data plan on the device to allow them to operate at home in a home that didn't already have Wi-Fi. Distributing these tools equitably required investigation, which students would benefit from the LTE devices. How would we find the students? It's not like we had a big database or everyone had a big database of who had what technology where, especially in this and during the pandemic. So the Department of Education actually asked our member company Ookla, who created what they have as Ookla Cell Analytics, to actually see where the connectivity and the network coverage was, to figure out where they needed to connect students. These data speed-driven maps showed where there was lost traffic or lots of traffic and where the gaps were. Those gaps signal the areas where the hot spots could be best used. The kids were able to learn at home, do their homework, and continue learning, or play video games, right? We don't always stop to think about what home life is always for those who may not already have connectivity. So I will tell you that the industry is working together across the board, network operators, the vendor community, to make sure that the solutions that are being provided for extending connectivity are as equitable and available as possible. So as the industry continues to embrace innovation, it is important to increase our efforts around residential technology. 5G IoT devices are certified to the highest global standards, and we're continuing to bring new use cases forward. And we are really appreciative of our new partnership and relationship with CEDIA to learn more about how we can help do that in the area of home automation. So I really appreciate your time today. Happy to take any questions. I know it's a small group today, but